Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm back with another onboard video. This time we are at the Boddington circuit at the Brownlee Centre in Leeds. At the weekend, myself, Rob and Matt held a training session on the track to help get those that are racing this year in the club back up to speed after 18 months of no racing. We started the session working on some cornering technique, and in the second half we did some crit simulations. In this video I'm going to show you two of those practice races and point out the mistakes I made and why I didn't come away with the big W. For these races we were not using the full track and each race only lasted 2 laps, so simulating the end of a crit. So here we are coming up to the start of the first race and I'm pretty happy with my positioning. Generally it's a good idea to stay in the top 10 to 15 places in a bunch race. That way you are close enough to the front so you can go with any attacks, but you're not on the front taking any wind. As we come out of the hairpin, I can see Tiernan making a move towards the front of the bunch. I know from experience that this usually means he is going to attack, so I move over to get onto his wheel. However, this time it's not a full-blown attack and a more of an effort to line out the group. Because it wasn't a full-blown attack, I've now found myself far too close to the front of the bunch with a lap to go. To try and deal with this, I tried to take the corner wide to kind of force people through on the inside, but it didn't really work. Coming up the start-finish straight, we have a cross tailwind, so it's not the end of the world that I'm so close to the front, though ideally I would like to be further back so I can see any potential attacks better. And there we have it, the inevitable last lap flyer, and I instinctively went with it. However, again, this wasn't a full-blown attack, so there wasn't any separation from the bunch. So instead of just pulling the pack along, I moved over to the right-hand side of the track once again to try and let people through. And despite taking the corner really wide, no one came through and I'm kind of stuck on the front. The danger here is that with only 2 corners left, if I do drop the pace too much, I'll just be swamped. So I decided to put everyone in the gutter. This isn't an all-out effort, as I still want to say something for the sprint, but enough just to not get swamped. Into the second to last corner, Rob comes over the top, which is such a relief that I'm there not leading things out. Into the chicane, I left a gap to Rob. This was to give me room to launch my sprint in his draft. Having a gap like this allows you to reach a speed that the person in front can't. Unfortunately, it looks like Tiernan was also employing this tactic and absolutely destroyed both of us. Now on to the second race, and you can see that this time I'm much further back in the group with 1.5 laps to go. Going over the start-finish line and into the last lap, I decided to follow Sam up the inside of the track, but really I should have gone up the middle as the right side of the bunch starts to accelerate. In hindsight, I should have probably burnt a match at this point and gone round Sam, as I'm now back in 20th position with people exiting the corner before I've even entered it. I did manage to make up a few places by dive bombing the inside of the corner, but this did mean that I had to put out 1200 watts just to stay in the wheel. Now, if this was a proper race and not a practice one, I would have been a little bit more forceful with my next move. I should have used the gap in the track to sprint round Val and get up towards the front of the bunch. Instead, I played it safe, and therefore I was a little boxed in when there was another surge on the right hand side of the bunch and inevitably got crowded out as the group moved to the left. Now I'm about 10th or 11th wheel going into the second to last corner. Now you are going to see why it is so important to be in the top 5 positions going through this section. Really, there is only one decent line as you switch from the velodrome to the finishing straight. So back here in the pack, you don't get to choose your own line, and it's easy to get chopped or pushed wide, so you lose so much speed through this corner. So despite putting out 1300 watts in the sprint, the guys at the front are already 50 to 60 metres down the road, and even Sam Bennett would struggle to win that sprint. So positioning is everything when it comes to winning bunch sprints, especially on quick tracks like this. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.